You want to come up here? You smarty? Come on. Zippy, come. Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. We are about to head out for our walk, but I thought I need to get on here and do this really, really fast. And I've got a dog that wants to go for her walk. So, quick. So, how was your super fantastic, sparkling, thankful Thursday? How was your day? Ours was, woof. It was a very interesting day today. We started off with being grateful for everything that we have, with our grateful heart. And then I was sitting here and I got a proud puppy moment. Oh, a proud mama moment. That Zeffy came over here and she stood here next to me, and her food bowl is right over here. She stood here and her new button is just down here at the bottom of the bench seat. And she stands there and starts whining, and I go, "What do you want?" And she looks at me. She looks down at her food. She looks back up at me again. She looks at the button. She's standing. She picks up her paw, puts it on the button, presses the button, and then takes her paw away. And then, of course, the button says, "Hungry." I mean, "Are you hungry? Good girl." And gave her lots of praise, reached over, got her food, and put it in her bowl for her. And then she stood there, looked at it, and walked away. But now, so I was like, I am so proud of her for pressing that button. So now we're working on the I love you button. And that was a lot of fun. She's more interested in the treat in your hand than the actual treat itself, than that pressing the button, because if she gets the treat out of your hand, she doesn't have to press the button. That's what she thinks. And then so the morning went along well. And then we had a Wi-Fi crisis. So the morning's going along well. And then I was working on the computer and it kept going, "Well, you have no internet connection." And then it pops up with a sprint window saying, "You haven't paid your bill. We haven't received any payment. We've cut your service off." And I'm like, what the heck? Because I go through a third party that provides me with my Wi-Fi service. And it's part of the Family Motor Coach Association. It's a deal that they have with Sprint. But I knew that they were transitioning because towards the end of last month, they sent out this note saying, "Hey, we're transitioning from Sprint to T-Mobile. We're sending you out new devices. Please click this link here to give us your current mailing address." And then and because of the volume we're having to do, we may or may not get you your shipping information to you, but it will be delivered 5 to 10 days after you fill out this form. And the 10 days would have overlapped into February. And so I filled out the form immediately. I heard nothing back, didn't even think of it. And then, of course, I got a notification from the UPS store to say that I had a package. Had no idea what the package was, totally forgotten about the Wi-Fi thing. And I got that on Monday. Oh, no, yesterday. And had no idea what it was. So I'm sitting here working today, and all of a sudden all this stuff gets going on, and I'm trying to get online to have a Zoom call with my boss because we had this issue going on that we were trying to solve for a user, and it seemed to be complicated. And my brain was a little foggy yesterday with that headache thing, and I couldn't get on. And then it would suddenly give me cell phone, and then it would give me Wi-Fi service, then it wouldn't, and it kept going backwards and forwards. And it was around 10:30ish because I had to be on the chat at 11. And I looked at this thing. I said, "Oh, I bet they've cut the service off already and switched me over to the new device. I hope that is what my package is." So I sent a note to the boss saying, "Hey, this is what's happened. I'm heading off to the mail place right now to get, hopefully, the new device." And so I got there, and there's these people standing outside. And of course, I parked right in front, and I like parking right in front because I had Zeffy with me as well, and she watches that door. And I'm not sure if she can actually see into the store or not, but she watches the door, and I can see her from inside. And I went to open the door, and this woman turns around and goes, "There is a line." And I said, "I have a mailbox," and just opened the door and walked on. She had no comeback for that. I had my mailbox keys in my hand. She goes, "There is a line." And I said, "Yeah, and I have a mailbox inside." And I just walked on in and went and got my thing. And then I stood and I filled out the form because the form receipt, you got to sign for it and everything else. And I stood to the side and waited while they dealt with everybody. I tell you, it must have been every person that had, like, there was one person sending stuff that cost him over $400 to send it ground because of the weight and the size and everything else. And it took them a while to figure out all of that and insurance and everything else. And then another person who was helping the woman that was doing that behind the counter, there's only two of them, was helping some other woman doing all this copying for her, and because the other copier was being used. the self-help copy was being used. And then the next person comes up in line and there's something not straightforward about their dropping off their package. It was just sort of like anything that could have gone wrong this morning went wrong. And I stood there for about 15 minutes and I could see Zeffie in the car and she's just sitting there looking out the front window, eyes on the door, like she was not taking her eyes off that door. And I could see her sitting there. I don't know if she was whining or not because I couldn't hear her, but the windows were cracked and and she had water in the car, so she was fine. And it was cold outside. It was like 40-something degrees. And so the woman said, and I'm like putting people in front of me because I didn't want to cut the line. And so then the woman who was closest to me, she saw that I had the package receipt, and she says, "Oh, do you just have the one package to pick up?" I said, "Yes." And so handed her the form, and the next lady came up to get ready, and she had this pile of stuff too. And I'm like, "Oh, thank goodness for that." And it was the one that told me that there was a line. So the woman got me my box and I was out the door, and we're on the way back and I hear this weird noise in the back seat and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And we're at these lights, and I turn around and Zeffie had figured out she could put her feet on the door handle. And if she put her feet on the door handle, she could get up higher and stick her head further out the window. The problem is we have the screen there. So she had it stretched further out the window so she could get like almost her whole head out the window. Had we not had the screen there, she would have had her whole head out the window. And she probably would have figured out how to get her feet up on the next to the window there as well on the door. But we got home, cracked open the box, took her for a very quick walk. Came back, cracked open the box, got the thing out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's in pieces. Like there's a SIM card over here, there's a battery over here, there's this device over here. I couldn't get the back off. I'm like looking at the directions, and the directions were, I still have it here. The directions were on a sticky. You probably can't see them, but it was showing you how to get the thing. And I thought it's not coming off like it's supposed to. And I've got the tool in there, and I'm cracking it open, and finally get this thing open. And then I'm like, punch out the SIM card, and I'm like, it was like this wide, and the gap to go in was like this wide. And I'm like, what the heck? And so I finally figured out that there was more to come off the stupid SIM card thing. So I broke all of that off, finally got the SIM card in there, threw the battery in, turned it on. There was a little charge there. Fortunately, it's the same plug as my old Wi-Fi thing. And so I just plugged it in, so it's been charging, powered it up. Went to the website that they told me to go to, got it all activated and everything else. And then finally, and I was late for work by this point. It was like 11:30 or something like that by the time I finally got, 11:45 by the time I finally got online this afternoon. And I was sort of like, oh my gosh. But I was on, we were done. And then we had a rocking afternoon where it got busy again, but not busy enough that I couldn't take short breaks, but I did forget to eat. And then at one point I just like grabbed some stuff out of the fridge and stuck it here in front of me, like around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the, it was almost 3 o'clock, I think it was. Plate here in front of me with all sorts of different foods on it. So I made like a quick, threw together a charcuterie board thingy on my plate type of stuff. And just sat here and just ate while I was working. It was a crazy day. And then we ended up with a team meeting, which was awesome. I loved our team meeting. It was great. It was fun. But because we were scattered all over the place. It was fun. And so got off that, and here we are. I'm about to take a puppy for a walk. She's already got her harness on. She's ready to go. So it's been a crazy day. And I'm like, so it was a good solid day. I ate while I worked. And, and I started reading this morning while I was having breakfast. And I almost threw this across the thing at the end of the prologue. The prologue is, how long was the prologue? Like a page, I think. Somebody just messaged me. Yeah, it's about a page by the time you take in what's on this page and what's on the next page. Not a very long chapter, but it almost went flying across the room. So, so that was kind of fun. And then I sort of thought, I said I was going to read it, take a deep breath, read the first chapter. And I sort of got in the first chapter and I thought, oh, this is good. And I wanted to read more, but it was sort of like, nope, breakfast time is now over. Time to get to work and all that. And then that's when all the Wi-Fi stuff started happening. So it's been a very interesting day. Lots of fun today. Lots of unexpected twists and turns, which I enjoy because it shakes up the routine. It helps keep you fresh and all of that good stuff. You never know what's going to happen. So we've got that out of the way. But now my question is, What movie am I going to watch tonight? I watched Stripes on Monday. No, Stripes on Tuesday. Groundhog Day yesterday, because it was Groundhog Day. And now I don't know what to watch. But I'm going to go for a walk and figure it out while I walk. So if you have any suggestions, just drop them in the comments. Would love to think of a movie for tonight. So maybe we'll do Blazing Saddles. Not sure if I'm in the mood for that one. But anyway, we're out of here. Puppy's now whining. Time to go for a walk. I need to get her doing the outside button, but I'm a little scared because she'll probably press it a lot. She'll see some dog up there and she'll come down and press the outside button because she wants to go outside because her friend's walking by. Who knows? Anyway, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here bright and early tomorrow morning for... It's Friday tomorrow? It's Friday tomorrow, Zeph. What happened to the rest of the week? Wow. Okay, we'll catch you back here bright and early tomorrow morning for Fun Friday. Hey, korara.